Have you ever woken up feeling like you're sliding downhill, unable to stop? Knowing full well you're wasting time, yet still unable to force yourself to act? You make plans, promises, set alarms, create to-do lists, but in the end, you're still scrolling on your phone until 2 a.m., still procrastinating, still letting the day slip by in a haze. You're not alone, but you also have no excuse to keep going like this. The problem isn't that you're lazy or lack energy. The problem is that you haven't learned to control your own mind. You're holding yourself back, not the outside world, not your circumstances, not other people. It's you. Stoic philosophy isn't some dry theory or pretty quotes to print on a hoodie. It's an internal operating system forged through war, loss, pain, and responsibility. Stoics don't wish for motivation. They forge discipline. They don't need the world's approval. They just need to not betray their own reason. In this video, you'll learn 12 Stoic principles. Not to become perfect, but to restore order to your mind, to live with intention. This isn't an inspirational video. This is a wake-up call. If you're ready to look at yourself honestly, if you're ready to set aside your ego and start with discipline, watch this video until the end. And if you want to join a community of sharp, straightforward thinkers who refuse to tolerate stagnation, subscribe to the channel now. This is the place for those who don't wait for the world to change. They change themselves first. Number 1, discipline is self-respect made visible. Discipline is self-respect brought to life. There's no clearer way to know how much you value yourself than by looking at what you allow yourself to do each day. Sleeping in, eating carelessly, skipping workouts, procrastinating on work, drowning in social media for hours. These aren't just bad habits. They're silent declarations that you don't believe you're worthy of a better version of yourself. A person who respects themselves doesn't need to say it. You can see it in how they live. They don't need cameras rolling, applause, or motivation. They do what's right because they know living without discipline is betraying yourself every single minute. That betrayal isn't always loud. It's often quiet and persistent. It erodes your self-respect from within. You start feeling like you're not good enough. You stop trusting your own decisions. And worst of all, you become someone you don't want to face in the mirror each morning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be strict with yourself and lenient with others." This doesn't mean tormenting yourself. It means holding yourself to a high standard. You need to live as if you're accountable to something sacred beyond fleeting emotions, your own life. Stoics understand that discipline isn't punishment. Discipline is the ongoing act of proving you're worthy of freedom, respect, and a meaningful life. True freedom doesn't come from doing what you want, but from having the ability to do what's right even when you don't want to. Discipline is an inner muscle, forged through small, repeated actions when no one's watching. You can't build discipline overnight, just like you can't go to the gym once and expect muscles. You have to repeat. You have to commit. You have to push past fleeting emotions to aim for lasting self-respect. The problem is, modern society equates freedom with indulgence. They call sleeping in self-care. They call procrastination honoring your energy. But Stoics know there's nothing crueler than indulging yourself to the point of self-destruction. True self-love is discipline. It's waking up early even when you're tired. It's saying no to social media when work isn't done. It's eating with intention, not out of fear of gaining weight, but because you believe your body deserves to function at its best. Here's a truth few dare to face. Without discipline, you have no freedom. If you can't control yourself, you'll always be controlled by others, by deadlines, emotions, circumstances, the smallest distractions. You can't demand a better life if you can't even keep a simple promise to yourself like, "I'll wake up at 6 a.m. Discipline is how you build trust with yourself. Every time you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, you send a message to your subconscious, "I'm someone I can rely on." And every time you break a commitment to yourself, you chip away at that trust. Eventually, you stop believing in yourself. You hear that inner voice telling you to change, but you ignore it because you don't even trust you'll follow through. But here's the good news. You can reclaim that trust. Start today with one small disciplined action. You don't need to overhaul your life in a single morning. Just pick one thing, Write down what you need to do and do it no matter how you feel. Tomorrow, do it again and again. That's how you rebuild your mental backbone, one action at a time. If you find yourself lacking self-respect, this isn't the time to feel guilty. It's the time to act. Comment below. I commit to practicing discipline every day as a formal declaration, not for others, but for yourself. And if you want to follow more content to help you build unshakable inner strength step by step, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We don't just talk about change, we start living it. Number 2, build discipline that matches your nature. One reason many people fail to maintain discipline is that they try to live by someone else's schedule. They see someone waking up at 4 a.m., hitting the gym for 2 hours, meditating for 45 minutes, and reading philosophy, and they think, I should do that too. What they don't understand is that discipline isn't about imitation. It's about building a system that fits your unique mental and physical makeup. Marcus Aurelius didn't live like Seneca. Epictetus didn't live like Marcus. They all practiced discipline, but each in their own way, because they understood their individual nature and limits. Discipline doesn't mean turning yourself into a machine. Discipline is optimization, choosing a way of life that allows you to sustain consistency over the long term without mental collapse. If you're an introvert, you don't need to force yourself to socialize excessively to step out of your comfort zone. If you're less productive in the morning, you don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. just to follow a trend. What you need is to understand your biological rhythms, energy levels, and personal priorities to design a systematic schedule, not an imposed one. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach you to live like someone else. It teaches you to master yourself. Mastery doesn't mean coercion, it means conscious orchestration. That consciousness comes from observing yourself daily. When are you most focused? What distracts you easily? What drains you mentally? True discipline is making the right choices based on a deep understanding of yourself, not chasing an idealized model. Seneca said, "No wind is favorable if you don't know where you're going." If you don't know who you are or how you function, any discipline you try to maintain will likely crumble. You'll create an overloaded system, fail, and feel worthless. That's not because you're weak. It's because you're building a house on an unstable foundation. You need to redesign your discipline structure from the ground up, starting with who you are right now. And here's the key. Discipline requires flexibility. Some days you'll be tired, uninspired, or need to adjust plans. That doesn't mean you're breaking discipline. It means you're adapting without losing your core focus. Stoics aren't rigid or emotionless. They're flexible in the details, but steadfast in their principles. If you can't hit the gym for an hour today, walk for 20 minutes. If you can't read 20 pages, read 3 and take careful notes. It's not about how much you do, it's about staying committed to yourself every day, even with small steps. Another common mistake is being overly ambitious at the start. You want to transform your entire life in a week. You set big goals, make detailed plans, and expect yourself to adapt instantly. But your mind doesn't work that way. It needs time to adjust to a new environment. Sustainable discipline doesn't come from a whip. It comes from accumulating consistent actions. Start with less than you think you need. Make discipline so easy you can't make excuses to avoid it. Here's the difference between a Stoic and a trend follower. Stoics don't force themselves into society's molds. They don't need to live like someone else to feel on track. They understand that each person is a unique project, and discipline is the custom blueprint for that project. They build bit by bit, test, adjust, and commit to living by principles they've chosen, not copied from others. If you want an ordered life, you don't need to become a clone of other successful people. You need to become someone with a system tailored to yourself and stick to it. Discipline isn't about racing to meet external standards. It's a journey inward, understanding who you are, what you need, and what you can do each day to move closer to your best self. So don't ask, am I being disciplined? Ask, am I living in alignment with my inner structure? If the answer is no, start refining. One small action, one small change in how you organize your morning, work time, or rest. That could be the missing piece to steer your life in a new direction. If you often fail because you're trying to mimic others, it's time to build a discipline system true to who you are. Comment below, "I'm designing discipline for myself," as a starting point. And if you want to keep diving deeper into living more rationally each day, subscribe to the channel to catch the next videos, where we don't talk about fleeting motivation, but about the lasting structure of inner strength. Number 3, without order, you pay in silence without order. The price you pay isn't a loud explosion, it's a silent erosion. Inner chaos doesn't scream, it whispers, draining your energy bit by bit. It steals the clarity from your mornings. It makes you hesitate when decisions are needed. It leaves you guilty at night, yet you keep repeating the same aimless days. The scariest part? No one sees it but you. Living without order doesn't just cost you time, it costs you direction. Each morning you wake up with 10 things to do, but no idea where to start. Each evening you end the day feeling busy, but accomplishing nothing meaningful. You're stuck in a state of always doing something, yet never touching what truly matters. This chaos doesn't break you all at once. It cracks you silently, like a house without a foundation, slowly collapsing before you even notice. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations just to vent emotions. He wrote to maintain order in his thoughts. An emperor, faced with hundreds of daily decisions, knew one thing: without inner order, the outside world quickly turns to chaos. Order isn't a luxury for perfectionists. It's a survival mechanism for a mind that wants to stay sharp. If you don't have a plan, you'll be swept into someone else's. If you don't choose what's important, you'll be driven by what's urgent. If you don't set boundaries for distractions, you'll always be busy with things irrelevant to your core values. Stoics understand this clearly. They don't live in disorder. They don't let emotions or circumstances pull them wherever. They proactively build order before chaos takes hold. Order doesn't always mean rigid schedules packed with tasks. It's clarity about priorities. It's knowing what matters most today. It's understanding where you're going, why you're going there, and what you won't compromise. A person with order doesn't need to note every detail, but they don't let randomness rule. They have an inner structure, a system of values that every action aligns with. Some say, "I don't like structure. I'm freer when things just happen." That's not freedom. That's drifting. No ship reaches shore by letting the waves take it wherever. Stoics choose to control themselves over the world, inner order over outer chaos. They know that as long as you have principles within, no circumstance can throw you too far off course. When you live without order, you don't just exhaust yourself, you burden those around you with the consequences of your disorganization. Missed deadlines, abandoned plans, broken promises, these are signs of a disordered mind. And this doesn't just erode others' trust in you, it makes you doubt your own ability to keep your word. That loss of trust isn't because you're bad, it's because you haven't built a clear, structured foundation for living. But here's the good news. Order can start with the simplest things. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just pause each morning to write down the 3 most important things you need to accomplish. Limit your social media to a specific time slot. Set up a clutter-free workspace. These small actions don't just boost productivity, they restore the sense of control you've been missing without realizing. If your mind feels like a cluttered desk, if every day you're searching for the energy to start over from that mess, it's time to say, enough. Comment below, "I choose to live with order," as a promise you'll act on today. If this resonates with you, if you know someone else struggling in silent chaos, share this video with them. And don't forget to subscribe, because each week we'll untangle the knots of your inner world with clarity, discipline, and reason. Number 4, success can make you soft, stay sharp. Success isn't always a reward. For the unprepared, it's a powerful sedative. It lowers your guard, dulls your urgency, and slowly turns you into a softer version of yourself. This is the paradox many don't foresee. The moment you achieve what you once dreamed of, you begin to slip backward. Not because you fail, but because you've grown used to the taste of victory. You no longer keep the sharp edge that got you there. When you're hungry for something, you act with clear purpose, intense focus, and unrelenting drive. You're disciplined because you have nothing to lose, alert because you're at a disadvantage. But once you grasp a piece of success, be it recognition, financial stability, or a sense of safety, you start allowing yourself to relax. It begins with a late meal, then an unplanned day off, a week of procrastination, and soon your habits crumble. You don't notice the decline because it's quiet. It's exactly how every slide begins. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of an empire, still reminded himself daily that decline starts within. He didn't let his personal discipline lapse, even at the height of power. In meditations, he noted his smallest mistakes, the fleeting weak thoughts, not because he was weak, but because he knew. Sharpness isn't sustained by victories, but by consistent practice. Stoics don't let success cloud their reason. They treat success as a new challenge, more dangerous than failure. There's a kind of fatigue only those who've reached a peak understand. The feeling of, I've done enough. The temptation to rest because you've outdone so many others. But comparing yourself to others doesn't matter. What matters is, do you still have clarity in your goals, discipline in your actions, and humility in your mind? Because if you loosen your grip, you're not just standing still, you're sliding backward while the world moves forward. Sharpness doesn't maintain itself. It's like a blade. No matter how fine, if not sharpened regularly, it dulls. A dull blade is more dangerous than a sharp one. It breeds misplaced confidence and slows your response in moments that demand precision. Your mind is the same. If you don't challenge yourself regularly, maintain discipline, and stay alert, you'll start making decisions based on emotion rather than reason, justifying more than acting, and losing the initiative you once prided yourself on. Don't misunderstand. Rest is necessary, but strategic rest is worlds apart from uncontrolled indulgence. Stoics know how to pause to recover, but they never forget why they started. They enjoy their achievements without drowning in them. They value success but act as if they're still building from scratch. Because they know every day is a new race, and past victories won't shield you from decline. Staying sharp is a choice. No one forces you to keep improving. No one demands you be better than yesterday. It's your call. But remember, complacency is the quietest thief. It doesn't come with a dagger, but with self-satisfied nods in the mirror. Day by day, it steals the integrity you work so hard to build. So don't let victory turn you soft. Let it fuel you to raise your own standards. Remind yourself every morning, I'm still in progress and my work isn't done. Sharpen your mind's blade daily through discipline, action, and awareness. If you've ever felt yourself plateau after a period of success, comment below, I keep myself sharp, as a reminder to yourself. And if you want to keep honing discipline that doesn't erode with success, subscribe to the channel. Let's stay awake in a world lulled to sleep by complacency. Number 5, don't wait for motivation, move without it. There's a silent habit that kills the progress of millions every day, waiting for inspiration. You know what you need to do? You have a clear to-do list, but you don't start. You say, I'll do it when I feel like it. You wait for excitement, motivation, or a spark of positive energy. But that day doesn't come. And if it does, it fades quickly, leaving you back in the same cycle. Knowing but not doing, wanting but not acting, dreaming but not moving forward. Stoics don't wait for inspiration. They act as if it doesn't exist, because they know that if you need inspiration to do what's necessary, you've handed your future to something unreliable. That's dangerous. Motivation is an emotional state, and emotions are fickle. If your actions depend on it, you'll be unstable for life. Epictetus said, "No great thing is accomplished by inspiration, but by discipline and perseverance." You don't need to feel like doing something to start. You need to act despite your feelings. That's the difference between maturity and living by instinct. A child does homework when they feel like it. An adult gets the job done even when they're bored, it's raining, they're in a bad mood, or no one's cheering them on. That's the inner maturity Stoicism emphasizes. Don't let your inner world dictate your outer actions. Look back at the times you actually achieved something. Chances are it wasn't when you were brimming with motivation, but when you forced yourself to do the right thing, regardless of how you felt. That consistency, acting without relying on emotions, is the foundation of all lasting success. Successful people aren't always full of energy. They're just the ones who work even when they have none. That's what others don't see. You'll never achieve anything great if you wait to feel like it. Life doesn't revolve around your mood. Rain doesn't wait for you to feel ready before pouring. Deadlines don't wait for your stress to fade. Responsibilities don't vanish just because you're tired. Stoics understand this. They don't idealize the world. They accept it and act as part of reality, not as victims of circumstance. Instead of waiting for inspiration, build a system. A system you can repeat daily, so simple you can't avoid it. It doesn't need to be grand. It could be sitting at your desk at a specific hour, opening your laptop and typing the first line, whether it's good or not, stepping outside to run, even if you're sluggish today. You don't need perfection. You need to start. Starting is the act of the disciplined, not the emotion-dependent. A simple trick to overcome inertia: act within 5 seconds of realizing what you need to do. Don't overthink. Don't negotiate with yourself. Don't wait for the right moment. Every delay feels justified in your head, but most are just disguises for fear, laziness, or hesitation. You don't need all the answers. You just need the first action. And then something interesting happens. Inspiration often follows action, not the other way around. Action creates motivation, not the reverse. When you sit at your desk, even tired, and write 100 words, you feel you've begun. When you step into the gym, even reluctantly, and start sweating, you feel in control. That positive feeling isn't a prerequisite for starting. It's the reward for daring to start without it. You must train yourself to act as if emotions don't exist. That's how you build the mental backbone that keeps you steady on dark days. Once you've honed that reflex, you no longer depend on your environment, people, or inspiration. You flip your own switch. That's true power. If you've been someone who lives by inspiration, but today chooses to act despite it, comment below. I'm done waiting, I'm doing it now. And if you want to join me on this journey of building discipline through reason, not emotion, subscribe to the channel. We're not just watching videos, we're changing habits and inner reflexes day by day. Number 6, live by conscious choice, not auto-reaction. Most of human life isn't driven by choice, but by reflex. You snap when insulted, you grab your phone when bored, you eat when sad, you procrastinate when things feel hard. These behaviors happen almost unconsciously. They're not choices, they're automatic reactions built from habits, emotions, and past memories. You're not deciding, you're reacting. And that's how you slowly lose control of your life. Stoics don't live this way. They live with intention. They don't let external circumstances shape their inner state. They don't let others' words dictate their responses. They don't let fleeting emotions guide long-term actions. Instead of reacting, they pause, observe, evaluate, and choose their response deliberately. This is the strength Epictetus called inner freedom, the ability to control yourself in any situation. True power isn't in shouting louder, winning an argument, or reacting fastest. It's in mastering yourself when you have every reason to lose control. The weak explode, the strong restrain. The weak are driven by emotion. The strong see emotion but don't follow it. That's the difference between living by reflex and living by choice. Every day you face dozens of such moments. When someone annoys you, you can choose to hold back or react. When you're tired, you can choose planned rest or abandon everything. When you're scared, you can choose to avoid or confront. Most importantly, each choice you make doesn't just shape the moment, it builds the person you're becoming. Stoics train daily to slow their reflexes and replace them with conscious choices. They don't try to control the world, but they control how they respond to it. They teach themselves to pause for 3 seconds before speaking in anger. They learn to breathe deeply instead of yelling. They ask questions instead of passing judgment. These small moments create a massive difference in the quality of life. You can start practicing this by observing yourself. When you feel irritated, ask, Where is this emotion coming from? Is it valid? Am I being controlled? When you're tempted to procrastinate, pause and ask, what value am I choosing to act on? Is this what I truly want? Each time you do this, you're training your mental muscle. The more you practice, the less you react and the more you choose. One of humanity's greatest powers is the ability to choose how to respond. Yet ironically, few use it. They react by default. They let circumstances dictate their mental state. They let others' provocations pull them away from their core, and then they lose control. They lose respect. They lose relationships. They lose the image they've built. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This isn't poetic fluff. It's a principle for living. You can choose calm amid chaos. You can choose reason over impulse. You can choose composure instead of outburst, silence instead of regretful words, action instead of judgment. Each choice is a brick in the temple of your inner self, solid, unshakable, and resilient to external storms. If you've ever regretted reacting too quickly, too harshly, too unconsciously, now is the time to change. Comment below, "I choose response, not reflex," as a commitment to yourself. And if you want to keep training your ability to master your inner world through rational choices each day, subscribe to the channel. The videos ahead will continue guiding you on this journey of living with awareness, depth, and discipline. Number 7. What you do in private defines you in public. The world judges you by your image, words, and reputation, but your true character isn't shaped under the spotlight. It's formed in the moments when no one's watching. What do you choose to do when no one sees? How do you act when no one's keeping score? Do you still uphold your principles when there's no immediate reward? Your answers to these questions reveal the real you, not the version you show to society. Stoics understand this deeply. They don't build their morality for others' admiration. They live by principles because that's how they honor themselves. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome with absolute power, still wrote in his journal each night, critiquing himself, reminding himself not to grow arrogant or indulgent. No one forced him to do it. He did it because he knew reputation can be faked, but character cannot. And character is forged in the dark, without an audience. We live in an age where it's easy to shine in front of a crowd. You can craft a perfect image on social media. You can say profound things, share life philosophies, inspire others. But if, behind the camera, you lack discipline, neglect your health, or lie to yourself, all you show is a shell. Sooner or later, the real you will slip through, because consistency can't be faked forever. What's not genuine will crumble under pressure. The difference between depth and superficiality lies in the quiet, repeated actions. A person of depth works even when no one praises them. They train when no one watches. They keep promises to themselves even when no one knows they made them. They tidy their space not for an Instagram story but for clarity. They read, learn, and reflect daily not to seem wise, but because they know that without constant growth, they'll become hollow. Here's what you must remember. Every small choice you make in private is quietly programming who you are. If you skip workouts because no one knows, you're building a habit of avoidance. If you consume toxic content because it's just a little, you're poisoning your mind bit by bit. If you lie for convenience thinking no one will notice, you're eroding your integrity day by day. These won't make you a bad person overnight, but they'll steer you off the right path and erode your self-trust. On the flip side, every time you stay disciplined in private, you signal to your subconscious that you're reliable. No recognition needed, no cheering required, just the knowledge that you did what was right. This builds lasting confidence, not the kind that depends on others' approval, but the kind rooted in knowing you've chosen well when no one forced you to. Stoics don't fear solitude. They use it to forge their character. They use quiet moments to look inward. They don't need a stage. They need depth. They know true virtue isn't what others applaud. It's the integrity you uphold when no one praises or punishes you. That's why they're trustworthy. They don't perform. They live their principles, even alone. You can start testing yourself with the smallest things. Do you turn off your alarm on time or keep hitting snooze? Do you read for 10 minutes daily as promised, or make excuses about being busy? Do you eat healthily when no one's watching, or only eat clean for appearances? The answers aren't out there. They're in the private moments you think don't matter. If you've ever lived a double life, one for society, one in private, it's time to unify your being. Comment below, I live as if someone's watching, even when no one is, as a commitment to act authentically, live authentically, be authentic. And if you want to keep building inner strength from the inside out, subscribe to the channel. What's coming next isn't for those chasing the spotlight. It's for those truly striving to become worthy of respect. Number 8, tame the dopamine, rewire the reward. If you're finding it harder to focus, losing control, or constantly craving new stimulation to feel satisfied, the issue might not be your willpower, but your brain's chemistry, specifically dopamine. Dopamine doesn't make you happy, it makes you want. It's the neurotransmitter driving your urge to act. Every time you do something exciting, scroll social media, eat sweets, watch short videos, get a new message, dopamine floods your brain. Your brain thinks, this is good, I want more. And just like that, you become a puppet to your own reward system. Stoics understood this, even thousands of years ago. They didn't know the science of dopamine, but they observed themselves. They saw that chasing easy pleasures dulled their resilience and inner strength. Seneca said, desire never stops at one point. It always demands more. His advice? Live simply, avoid addiction to fleeting sensations, and master yourself instead of being led by endless cravings. In today's world, dopamine is exploited to the max. Social media, ads, apps, games, short-form content, they're all designed to hijack your attention by pumping out constant dopamine hits. You pick up your phone to check a message, and 30 minutes later, you're watching a cat video, a clipped podcast, a catchy song, wondering, what am I even doing? The answer, you're being dragged by dopamine. Not because you're weak, but because you're playing a game you were never taught how to win. So how do you take back control? Tame dopamine and rewire your brain's reward system. This doesn't mean giving up everything that feels good. It means redefining what feels good. Instead of chasing the thrill of TikTok likes, take pride in finishing a book chapter. Instead of seeking dopamine from games, let it come from self-improvement, exercise, writing, or deep work. You don't need to eliminate dopamine. You need to shift its source from cheap rewards to meaningful ones. A practical way to start is a dopamine detox. Limit easy dopamine sources for a period to reset your brain's natural sensitivity. Try a day without social media, short videos, junk food, or overstimulating music. It'll feel uncomfortable at first. You'll feel empty. That's a clear sign you become hooked on temporary hits. But if you push through, something remarkable happens. You start finding joy in simple things. A walk outside, a page read slowly, a cold glass of water, all become enough to feel truly satisfied. Stoics don't need dopamine to act. They're not addicted to rewards. They act because it's right. They find fulfillment in doing the job well, not in being applauded. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The bee doesn't work hoping to be praised as a diligent bee. It works because it's a bee, so should you." If you train yourself to act without needing to feel good, you'll gain a freedom no one can take away. You'll no longer be enslaved by short-form content, notifications, or anything that spikes your brain. You'll master yourself. Rewiring your rewards also means delaying gratification. When you say, "I'll work for 90 minutes, then rest for 15, instead of, "I work 10 minutes, I deserve a break," you're restoring order in your brain. When you finish a tough task before treating yourself to coffee, you teach your brain that joy follows effort, not chance. Over time, you'll find dopamine in mastering discipline itself, not in chasing fleeting highs. If you've been controlled by dopamine but today choose to redirect its flow, comment below, "I choose to master my rewards." And if you want to keep diving into Stoic tools to rewire your brain and behavior, subscribe to the channel. We're not just watching videos for fun, we're reprogramming the operating system of our lives. Number 9, structure is a form of mercy. Structure is the compassion you grant yourself. People often see discipline and systems as punishment, as barriers that stifle freedom. But the truth is, without structure, your life becomes a chaotic battlefield where you're constantly fighting erratic emotions, procrastination, and unclear choices. Without a clear schedule, you don't know what needs doing. Without personal rules, you don't know what's worth keeping. Without boundaries, you fall prey to every distraction, and you're exhausted not from lack of time, but from lack of structure to protect your focus. Stoics don't oppose freedom, but they know true freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from knowing what you should do and creating a framework to make it happen. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with endless responsibilities and temptations, still maintained habits of journaling, meditating, and reflecting daily. No one forced him. He chose a structured life because he knew that only an organized mind produces quality actions. In reality, structure doesn't make you rigid. It makes you more flexible. With a clear time block for deep work, you're not derailed by trivial tasks. With a decision-making process, you don't waste hours agonizing over small choices. With personal rules for daily routines, you don't burn energy deciding when to sleep, what to eat, or what to do next. It's simplified. And from that simplicity, you gain space to create and focus on what truly matters. Structure is an act of kindness to your future self. When you build a clear system, you shield yourself from moments of weakness later. You know there will be days when you're tired, bored, or distracted. But with a solid structure in place, you don't have to make decisions in a fragile state of mind. You just follow the system, no debate needed. This creates stability, consistency, and sustainability. Things fleeting motivation can never give you. Some claim structure kills freedom, but let's face reality. People without structure are often ruled by emotions, swayed by temptations, and lack steady progress. They work when inspired, rest when bored, and live in a cycle of uncertainty. That's not freedom. It's romanticized chaos. Stoics don't trade inner peace for the illusion of freedom. They build a logical framework to stay rational in a constantly shifting world. Structure is also how you show respect for your goals. If something truly matters to you, health, career, personal growth, you need to set specific times, clear spaces, and actionable rules to pursue it. No one builds a solid house on inspiration alone. They need a blueprint. Life is the same. Without structure, you're just getting by. With structure, you start building something with depth. And structure doesn't need to be complex. You don't need a NASA-level time management system. Just a few core principles. Wake up at a fixed time, dedicate a set window for deep work, take tech-free breaks, journal each night. These small habits, done consistently, will reshape your life toward discipline and clarity. That clarity frees you from anxiety, aimlessness, and the feeling of living but going nowhere. If you agree that structure isn't a chain but a gift to your better self, comment below. I choose to live with structure. And if you want to keep exploring how Stoics use reason to organize life from the inside out, subscribe to the channel. The next videos will bring you simple yet powerful tools to live more deeply and disciplined each day. Number 10, act like the person you are becoming. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. No one transforms their life through dreams or ideals alone. People change through behavior, repeated until it becomes their essence. Want to be confident? Don't wait to feel ready to act confidently. Act as if you already are, bit by bit. Want to be disciplined? Don't wait for motivation. Just do what a disciplined person would do, even if you don't fully believe in yourself yet. Stoics understand that the essence of change lies not in inspiration, but in chosen behavior. They don't wait to become better before living rightly. They live rightly, and through that, they become better. Marcus Aurelius didn't need anyone to call him just. He woke up each day reminding himself to live with fairness, self-control, reason, and compassion. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He didn't make excuses like, "I'm still learning." He acted as if he already was the person he wanted to be, and through that, he became that person. The critical question isn't, who am I now, but who am I acting like? If you behave like a disciplined person, even if you don't yet feel like one, your brain starts to accept it as truth. Behavior shapes identity. Emotions follow actions. Confidence, discipline, strength, resilience. These aren't pre-existing states. They're the result of repeatedly choosing to act as if you already possess them, even when you doubt yourself. This isn't pretending, it's reprogramming yourself. Each morning, instead of asking, "How do I feel today?" ask, "How would the person I want to become act in this situation?" Would they wake up on time or linger in bed for 30 more minutes? Would they eat mindfully or carelessly? Would they procrastinate or dive into work despite not feeling ready? Then, just do what they would do. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just choose one small right action and repeat it. The key is consistency. One act like your better self may not make a difference. 100, 1,000. It's inevitable you'll become that person. Stoics don't dream of change. They build themselves through intentional behavior. They choose what's right not because it's easy, but because they've decided, "This is who I will be, and I start today." You can't wait to feel confident to speak in public. You can't wait to be disciplined to wake up early. You can't wait for inspiration to start working. If you keep waiting, you'll stay stuck. Action comes first. Emotions shift later. Change begins not with realization, but with practice. Realization only has power if you act on it. There's a quiet strength in behaving as if you're already the person you're building. When you keep a small promise, even unnoticed. When you work diligently, even without recognition. When you choose to read instead of scroll, to exercise instead of complain, to write instead of just think. These don't just improve outcomes, they reinforce identity. You start to believe in yourself, you feel alignment between your ideals and actions, and you begin to radiate an energy that doesn't need words. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start as if you're on the path to becoming. Stoics know life is a series of chosen moments. They don't drift with fleeting emotions. They act according to their values, their inner standards, the version of themselves they're aiming for. And they repeat this daily, despite circumstances, despite feelings. If you're ready to become a better version of yourself, not through dreams, but through concrete actions, starting today, comment below, "I act like the person I'm becoming." And if you want regular reminders to keep training your mind the Stoic way, subscribe to the channel. We're not just talking about potential, we're forging ourselves for reality. Number 11, every minute is a brick in the temple of your life. Your life isn't built from grand moments, but from the ordinary minutes you often overlook. Every minute you spend, whether learning, working, resting, or scrolling, is a brick in the temple of your life. The question is, are you building a sturdy temple or a crumbling ruin, depending on what you do with each minute you have? Stoics grasp this deeply. They don't let time slip by unconsciously. For them, every moment is a chance to act rightly, to improve themselves, to strengthen their inner character. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Live as if each action were your last, not to scare you, but to keep you awake." When you realize every minute is a building block of your life's whole, you stop wasting it so easily. You don't need to do something monumental every minute, but you need to understand that every minute matters. A minute spent breathing deeply to regain calm is a brick of composure. A minute choosing to study instead of procrastinating is a brick of focus. A minute speaking kindly instead of negatively is a brick of virtue. Conversely, every minute you bypass doing what's right, you're laying shaky bricks in your temple, and sooner or later it will collapse. We often judge a day by the big things we accomplish. But in truth, life is shaped by hundreds of small unconscious choices. Every time you open social media during work hours, you trade a quality brick for a hollow one. Every time you let your mind wander instead of focusing, you compromise the architecture of your life. You think these small actions don't matter, but they repeat and form habits, and habits shape your destiny. The key question is, what are you building with the minutes you have? A healthy body or an exhausted one? A clear mind or one cluttered with junk information? A purposeful life or a string of passive days? No one builds for you. Each brick is yours to place. Every minute you live leaves a mark on the structure of your life, and you're the one who has to live in it. Stoics don't just talk about the value of time, they live it. They keep a purposeful schedule. They don't let fake busyness fool them into thinking they're progressing. They measure time not just by tasks completed, but by the quality of their presence. They work deeply, rest fully, reflect daily, and never let time drift in a haze. Because they know minutes don't come back. And if you keep letting time be swallowed by unimportant things, you're letting your life erode without noticing. Here's a truth you must face. You don't lack time. You lack priorities. You have enough time to build a life of depth if you dare to reject instant gratification and choose meaningful actions. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things. In awareness with the time you have. When you truly grasp that each minute is a brick, you won't use it to build a flimsy shack, but will lay each brick firmly to construct a temple of virtue, reason, and maturity. If you've ever felt your days slip by without leaving anything tangible, it's time to ask, what am I building with each minute I live? If you decide today to choose stronger, truer bricks, comment below. I build every minute into a life worth living. And if this resonates, if you need these wake-up calls regularly, subscribe to the channel. Because the journey to rebuild inner strength, will, and discipline is a grand project. But you won't have to build it alone. Number 12. If you don't measure it, it's not growth. You can't improve what you don't measure. This isn't a modern formula. It's an ancient principle the Stoics understood well. If you don't know where you're going or how far you've come, the progress you think you're making is just a feeling. You might believe you're growing, but without evidence, you're living in an illusion. Marcus Aurelius didn't journal daily to write poetry. He tracked his actions, reactions, progress, and mistakes because he knew systematic self-reflection is the most powerful tool for growth. He didn't just ponder ideals. He recorded each step of his journey toward living rationally. This kept him from deluding himself, grounding his life not in vague emotions, but in clear observation. If you want to improve discipline, measure how many commitments you kept this week. If you want to sleep earlier, log your bedtime each night. If you want to cut down on scrolling, track how long you spend on your phone daily. You don't need fancy tech. A notebook, a pen, and honest commitment are enough. The point isn't perfect numbers. It's the clarity you gain by seeing your behavior daily. You can't gauge progress by feelings. Some days you feel busy, but accomplish nothing valuable. Other days, you complete just one task, but it's a critical step forward. Stoics don't judge a day by emotions. They judge it by facts. They measure presence, focus, persistence, not to boast, but to adjust. Without measurement, you can't see where you're off. Without seeing, you can't fix. And without fixing, you're stuck, deluded into thinking you're growing. Measuring also builds trust in yourself. When you see you've read for 30 days straight, you stop doubting yourself. When you see your workout hours increase week by week, you don't need praise to know you're on track. Each note is living proof of your commitment. With a chain of such evidence, your confidence no longer relies on fleeting motivation. It's built on a foundation of reality. People fear measurement because they're scared of falling short of their ideals. But that's exactly why you need to face it. No map is better than the truth. The truth lets you start from where you actually are, not where you wish to be. If you always think you're fine without data to back it up, you're likely circling in place, mistaking motion for progress. You don't need to measure everything. Pick what matters most to you and track it consistently. Don't measure to pressure yourself. Measure to understand, to adjust, to see yourself more honestly. When you see you exercise less this week than last, don't beat yourself up. Just ask why. What threw me off? Next time, prepare better. That's how you grow. No illusions, no judgment, just steady improvement. Measurement is also an act of accountability. When you track your behavior, you can't hide. You have to face yourself. And in that confrontation, true growth begins. You stop making shallow promises. You become someone who tracks, adjusts, commits, and refines. That's the process Stoics live by. If you understand that real growth requires honest observation and measurement, comment below, "I'm starting to track my progress." And if you want to continue this journey of living with clarity, accountability, and purpose each day, subscribe to the channel. Here we don't dream of change. We track every step to create it. You've just explored 12 Stoic principles, not to memorize but to act on. Because no one builds a strong life by watching inspirational videos alone. They build it through small daily choices. They build it by living with discipline, order, and a clear sense of their core values, committing to them even when no one's watching or cheering. If you're seeking change, don't wait for another sign. This is the moment to step into the real game, the game of inner strength, reason, and unassuming growth. Pick one of the 12 principles that resonates most with you right now and commit to practicing it for the next 7 days. Write it down, track it, adjust. This isn't a challenge, it's how you reclaim control of your life. And if you're ready to turn this knowledge into living habits, comment below, "I choose to act today." That's your first commitment to yourself. Don't forget to like, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel to stay with us for what's next. Here we don't just talk about strong thinking, we train it, live it, and grow together every day.